Today we're going to have a look at multiplying and dividing surds and the rules that apply with those to make them easier. So first of all, there are some rules that we can use that are going to make it easier for us to multiply and divide surds together. Our first rule, when we're multiplying two surds together, the easy way is just to multiply the two numbers within the surds together and then keep it underneath the square root sign, as so. Another way is when we've got numbers in the front, is we multiply the numbers first, then multiply the surds together. So multiply the A and the C, and then multiply the B and the D together. So in other words, multiply the rational numbers together and then multiply the surds. The next one is if we've got a surd and we square it, well, we can do it the long way. We can write it out the long way. Square root of A times square root of A. That's the same as square root of A squared. And in fact, we can just go straight to that's A because the square root and the squared are reciprocals. They cancel each other out if you like, and we get A. We can use our indice knowledge as well, that this is a 2 and the square root is a half. A half times 2 is 1, so that's A to the power 1 as well. So there's several ways that we can think about that. And if we look at our division, the square root of A over B is the same as the square root of A over the square root of B, so dividing them that way. So those rules are going to make it easier for us when we're doing our multiplication and division. So let's have a look at some examples. Well, what I'll do first is I'll put those rules over here so that we can look at those at any stage. So first example, square root of 7 times the square root of 2. Well, our rule just says let's multiply the 7 and the 2 together, so we get the square root of 14. Okay, that's the easy way to do it. And with practice, you don't need this set of working out here. We can just go straight from there to there. What we have to be careful of, though, is when we do this, square root of 5 times the square root of 15, well, that's the square root of 75, so 5 times 15 is 75. But remember, we have a square factor of that. We don't have a square factor up there apart from 1. So our highest square factor of 75 is 25, so I'm going to change that to square root of 25 times 3. And the square root of 25 is 5, so remember our simplifying of surds from an earlier video is just 5 times root 3. So we just have to be careful that sometimes this surd part here will simplify also. So let's look at some more examples. Now we've got some numbers in the front of the surds here. So we're going to multiply those numbers first, 4 times 5, and then our surd part second, so 3 times 7. So we get our 4 times 5 is 20, and 3 times 7 is 21. And again, we don't need the times sign in between. And this part of the surd does not simplify. So another one, we're going to multiply our 5 times 2 and our 6 times 12. Then we're going to get 10 times the square root of 72. But this time we have a square factor of 36. So that's the same as 36 times 2. The square root of 36, well, that's 6. And I'm going to multiply that by the 10. So we're going to get 60 times the square root of 2. So hopefully I haven't gone too fast for you, but you can pause it and rewind it at any stage if you need to get back over something. Let's have a look at another one. Square root of 5 all squared. Well, square root of 5 all squared just should give us this result of 5. So square root of 5, well, let's have a look at the long way. Squared means multiplying the two things together twice. That's the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 is just 5. So it is okay to go straight from there to there, but you have to be a little bit careful because our next example, it's not so simple. So 2 root 3 all squared, let's do it the long way. So that's the same as 2 root 3 times 2 root 3. And as we did in the previous example, let's multiply the rationals together. So 2 times 2 is 4, and multiply our surds together. So root 3 times root 3 is root 9. And the square root of 9 is 3, so it's just going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. So just be a little bit careful when we've got ones like this, that we don't just go 2 times 3 is 6, because we forgot to square that as well. So just be careful. Alright, so let's have a look at a couple of division, because we've looked at the 3 different types of multiplication. One way is to put them together as one big surd, and then just do our division. So 20 divided by 4 is 5, so that's the same as the square root of 5. What I'm also going to do is show you with a more complicated one here, but we're going to use our cancelling technique. So let's look at numbers first, our rationals first, just like we did with our multiplication. Our highest common factor of 20 and 8 is 4. So how many 4s in 20? Well, let's cross that out. 4s into 20 go 5. And 4s into 8 go 2. So the 20 on 8 is going to simplify to 5 on 2. And we can take the same approach with the surds here. So 32 and 40, our highest common factor of 32 and 40 is 8. So 8s into 32 go 4. And 8s into 40 go 5. So let's put those together. We've got a 5 over 2 out the front and a root 4 over root 5. So 5 root 4 and 2 root 5. And that's how we can simplify our division with surds. So what we now need to do is to get better. To do that, we need to practice and practice and practice again. And the more that you practice, the easier the surds are going to become. So I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget, you can pause it, rewind it, go over it as many times as you want, and the more you do, the easier it will become. Thanks.